Hi, welcome to the Mangala Samiti podcast, where I talk about business, life, personal development, and other ideas that matter. I am your host, Mangala Samiti, and I am many things: a chartered global management accountant, CFO, author, voiceover artist, and so much more. But I really am just one thing, and that is a creator. I create content and solutions to problems and challenges. I hope this podcast will help you on your own journey to greatness. I find it quite interesting, the inextricable link between fatherhood and leadership and how these two go hand in hand. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. This week, I want to talk about fatherhood and leadership. And though I use the term fatherhood, or as in the male figurehead of the family, I use it simply because we're just coming out of the weekend where we were celebrating fathers on Father's Day. However, the role of a father, which really is a leadership role and encompasses providing discipline, protection, guidance, motivation, and so much more to the family, is a role that is not only being performed by a father, but a mother, grandparent, sibling, aunt, or uncle could be performing this role given whatever circumstances you find yourself in. Now, the proposition of leadership is that leadership is the absence of self-interest. So, leadership and self-interest are two sides of the same coin. And every single time you choose the leadership side, you forego your self-interest and rather work in the interest of the group or the people around you, with the single goal of ensuring that they are taken care of and that their lives are better. We see this every single day. The provision of an outstanding service to a customer, a manager guiding with the best intentions their subordinate, so the subordinate gets better at the job. A teacher teaching their students with utmost passion so the students learn and become better. A doctor giving up their weekend so they can be at the hospital helping patients. A friend giving up a warm jacket to another friend so they are warm. Someone helping someone in the street with food. And so much more examples of what leadership is. You see, when I started studying leadership and I was intrigued by this proposition of leadership being the absence of self-interest, I must admit, I also found a deeper appreciation for my own parents and the role that they played not only in my life, but the lives of other family members. And I'll give you an example. You see, growing up, my siblings and I couldn't have the best or newer clothes, gaming consoles, toys, money to spend with friends, and so on, when we could see our friends having these things. So there was some apprehension that we built up against our parents, a little bit of anger, a bit of some, dislike. We would complain amongst ourselves at how we deemed our dad to not be the best dad because all he ever said was, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. But in our tiny undeveloped brains, we would think, but you go to work and you get paid. How do you not have money? How the hell could you come up to us and tell us that you don't have money? Because we see you every single day going to the office, going for work, and you're obviously getting paid. You see, but if there's one thing that our dad really pushed and exerted on us, it was that we should get an education. We really didn't understand the dynamics at the time. We were young. We were self-absorbed. We were self-indulgent. All we thought about was ourselves. So whatever he did, because he impressed on us that we should get an education, to him, that was number one. Whatever he did, school fees were always paid. There was always transport to take us to and from school. We always had books for school, a uniform, shoes, and a bag. We couldn't have new shoes every term, but best believe we had shoes on our feet. So the deeper appreciation came when I started studying leadership more closely and what the meaning of leadership being this absence of self-interest is, that, believe it or not, led me to even shed a tear when I thought about my parents. And I'll explain it to you. See, we couldn't have everything we wanted as kids, and neither could we appreciate what it is our parents were fighting so hard to give to us, because we were so self-absorbed and only thinking of ourselves that we missed seeing that our parents were the ones who were actually struggling. Our parents were struggling and fighting so hard to provide for us, to put food on the table, to clothe us, to protect us, to guide us, to discipline us so we continue to follow the right path and don't make bad decisions that would hinder our progress. And what was painful for me was this realization that we were so self-absorbed that never, not even once, did we ever stop to think about our parents and ask them the question, are you doing okay? Are you fine? You see, and our parents gave to us whatever they could within their means without a complaint or us ever hearing the words that they felt like giving up. This was and is leadership. Not asking for anything in return, but genuinely just doing it because you care, because it is your responsibility and no one else will do it in the way that you can. You see, the reward will come through somehow, one way, and that is the nature of this. You choose the leadership side, so you put aside your self-interest, you actually bring out the interest of others and begin to serve them. As you begin to do that, on their side, it also then begins to turn. So they begin to reward you for the leadership that you are then giving and showing to them. So they also begin to reciprocate and begin to also work and give to you in your own interest. That is how it works. And I remember calling my dad one day when I was meditating and this realization hit me. And I just called him to tell him, Dad, thank you for being there, for being present, for providing for us, for guiding us, for all the sacrifices, the love, and support. You see, without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. You see, it even dawned on me the reasons why my parents made some questionable decisions at the time. But that's a story for another day. Have you ever had someone come to you and ask you the question, or how many times do you want someone to come and ask you, are you doing okay? No, are you fine? And they actually stop and wait for you to give an answer because they are genuinely interested in your well-being. See, that feeling is absolutely magical, and it is great because it reminds you that someone out there does care for you, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, what you've been through or experienced. It reminds you that you matter. Try this on the people around you, in the office or anywhere else. Ask them genuinely how they are doing and wait for them to give you an answer. Don't just walk away, and listen and pay attention to what it is that they have to say. You will find that you unlock some new levels to their being and their hearts. See, by doing this, you begin to show leadership and you put down your self-interest to rather show interest in them and their well-being. In no time, they will be willing to work with you and support your vision, your dream, your goal, and then your rewards also kick in. See, there's a book I read, a rather interesting but admittedly quite an odd book, The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. I'll say that again, The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. You may want to Google it, purchase it, and also read it. See, he talks about how to, interesting book. It talks about how to seduce people by understanding who they are, their nature, their interests, what they like, dislike, what intrigues them, their beliefs, inclinations, and so on. It basically shows you that the way to seduce someone is to put them and put them there on the stage, shine the spotlight on them, and find out every single thing you can about them. And once you understand all these elements, you are then able to craft your seduction in a manner specifically tailored to them to achieve success with your seduction. And seduction could be anything: sex, work, friendship, or whatever. See, what I realized after reaching the end of the book was how this book beautifully explained leadership at its core. See, how you work genuinely towards learning the other person or persons, and all the time building the belief that you are working in their interest, because you are. And once you've convinced them that this is the case, then they can follow you and work with you because they now believe and trust in your leadership. And one of the best ways to see this in real life is how parents work nonstop for their children. To all the parents out there, to all the fathers, the mothers, to all the leaders out there, all the managers, the bosses, the founders, the directors in companies, the men of God, the pastors, every single person that is deemed a leader out there in the community, I genuinely salute you and all the work that you do. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Please, if you have any feedback on this or any other podcast or any other ideas on where this podcast could go, please do send me an email on mangaliso.meaty@gmail.com. As always, I appreciate your feedback. I love your feedback. I enjoy reading and going through your feedback that you sent through to date. It also does indeed remind me that this podcast is making some form of a difference in your life, and I am indeed glad that it is. So the email again is mangaliso.meaty@gmail.com. I wish you a great week ahead. Until next time, thanks so much.